and abuse, protect you from foreign invasion, and then to give you a court system so you can adjudicate your differences, and properly so. That's why a right is a moral principle. It defines and sanctions a man's freedom of action, and it does it in a social context, so we can live in peace and harmony. But when we see what has been happening to our intellectual freedom, and believe me, intellectual freedom cannot exist without political freedom. Political freedom cannot exist without economic freedom. And a free mind and a free man in a free market, those are corollaries. They all go hand in hand. Reason and freedom are corollaries. Freedom. When men are rational, freedom wins. When men are free, reason wins. You cannot force the community unless you want to enslave them or unless you do enslave them. And it's not society. It is not society. It's not the laws that are on our books. It's not the law enforcement personnel who are out there doing their job and doing their damnedest, by the way, to do that job. It is not because of that that forbids you to kill. It is the inalienable individual right of another man to live that forbids you to kill. And that's what they forgot at Waco. That's what they forgot at Ruby Ridge. That's what the United States government is forgetting. This is not a compromise between two rights. It's not a compromise between, well, I'm going to let you live because I have a right to kill you, but I'm not going to exercise that. We can compromise. That's the way the government is headed. It's a line of division that preserves both rights untouched. And that's what we have to honor. That's what we must understand. That's why it is so important that the educational system constantly impress upon the young minds that they are individuals, sovereign individuals. They live in a nation, in a country, in this world, the only place that recognizes it. And when we talk about New World Order and socialism, they want you to give up that sovereignty, and they want you to relinquish it. These are not people of honor. They're not people of integrity. Warriors are people of honor and people of integrity. Unless it's a warrior that's going bad. A warrior upholds honor and integrity. Honor is the utmost. Loyalty, a very deep, abiding respect for life. And a protection of the innocent. Warriors would never do what happened at Oklahoma City. Those are not warriors. They may be rogue renegades, and more than likely are rogue renegades from the CIA. Us here, we're taught through the phonics system, Mr. President, not through the look-say system. So we know how to read, we know how to think. How dare you call yourselves patriots and heroes? Because many of us put it on the line. We served in the military in this country. Some of us went to war, Mr. President. That's how dare we. We also know how to identify someone who is trying to squelch or stifle the spirit of freedom of speech in America. And we know how you do that by using these terms of extremist, no definition, racist, anytime you disagree with somebody, anti-Semitic, anytime you disagree with somebody, with no corroboration of those charges. The President of the United States sits in the White House and does not understand the definition of free speech. That's a Rhodes Scholar? Free speech, Mr. President. Here's the definition of it, Mr. President. It means freedom from interference, freedom from suppression, and freedom from punitive action by the government, period. That's it. Now, my good friend John Kuhn is going to be following me here, and he has some words that he wants you to hear, and I think he should. I pointed out on the Leica show a story that was passed on to me from a friend of mine, a young man by the name of John Boson. And it has to do with a surgeon, an engineer, and a politician who are debating which of their professions was the oldest. Eve was created from Adam's rib, argued the doctor. That's obviously a surgical procedure. Yes, but before that, order was created out of chaos, countered the engineer, and that most certainly was an engineering job. Aha, exclaims the politician triumphantly, and just who do you think created all that chaos? Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. That's the chaos. That's the way it's done. And it's been done throughout the world. There's nothing new. It's the same old story. I've talked about the Founding Fathers with you many times, and I've talked to you about Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. Washington has given us ample warning about government and how we should observe it. So has Jefferson. I mean, the first president of the United States, my Lord, if you listen to what the first president of the United States had to say about government, you would wonder who you were hearing. You would wonder where he was. And was this really George Washington? Because Washington said government is not reason. It is not eloquence. It is force. It is fire. It is a dangerous servant and a fearful master. That's why government has to be kept on a short leash, taut, tight leash. One of the reasons the American press does not understand this is because most of them are walking anachronisms out of the 60s. You remember the American big press people, outdated 1960s. The phrase was, better dead than red, better dead than red, never catching on, neither dead nor red. So what do? We work through the system. There's still time and we can still do it. We show them, we demonstrate to them that we are not going to allow Bill Clinton or anybody else in the federal government paint us into a corner as constitutional wackos, as people out of control, as people who are not law-abiding citizens. Because we are. This is called a gun crowd. This is a gun crowd, and these people all respect everybody here. You can't get people in mass going downtown in Detroit to see a ball game without spilling out into the streets and having a riot, turning over the cars, and trying to trash the lives of the citizens. So we know, whenever any form of government becomes destructive, Thomas Jefferson warned, it is the right of people to alter and to abolish it. So we want to alter it. We want to